From the depths of a food safety scandal, this company is sizzling, and investors are placing their orders for burritos and shares. As consumer trust is restored, can Chipotle serve up returns for home gamers?
A lot of exciting stuff on this show tonight. A lot of really good people have made a lot of money for you. Let's talk about one of 2019's biggest winners, though. Chipotle Mexican Grill. This company delivered a phenomenal turnaround out of nowhere. Its stock is now up 90% for the year, making Chipotle one of the 5 best performers in the S&P 500. Less than 2 years ago, the company brought in a new CEO, Brian Niccol, from Taco Bell, and he's masterminded an incredible comeback. Invested heavily in technology for digital ordering and takeout to boost throughput, allowing each store to process more customers because the lines were so long. He rolled out a loyalty program and introduced exciting limited-time menu items like the delicious carne asada that have changed my life. Well, at least on Fridays. It's all working. Now, earlier today, I had a chance to sit down both with Brian Niccol, the CEO of Chipotle, and longtime guest Jack Hartung, the CFO. Take a look. Brian and Jack, you have engineered the fastest turnaround I have ever seen from the depths of a restaurant. How'd you do it?
Well, what we started with, first of all, was recognizing what's the core business to Chipotle, which is great ingredients, delicious food, and great people. And we went to work on that. And we put together a new team, which I think are the right leaders. We built the right culture. And that's really driven all the way down into our restaurants, and I think that's why we are where we are today.
And this man never lost faith, because I always talked to him.
Luckily, he stayed the course.
And more importantly, he knew about the till. You knew how much money you had. You bought at precisely the right time. How did you know that the company's going to come back?
Tim, when I joined Chipotle in the early 2000s, it was a tiny little company, but I believed in what Chipotle stood for. I believed in the food ethos. I believed about how they were sourcing the food. I believed in real cooking. And I knew it led to a better eating experience, both in terms of taste, in terms of health, and in terms of the environment as well. My job from the beginning was to make sure the economics worked. I didn't know we were going to go through the tough times, but I wanted to make sure that the economics worked so that we continue to buy this great food, continue to invest in great people. It just so happened that financial strength that we built a strong balance sheet. When we hit tough times, I never lost faith in the brand. I just knew that at that time we were going to come out of it. I believe we come out of it stronger than ever. So I want to make sure we took the balance sheet and use that to buy back our stock and make us stronger. And listen, it worked out. I mean, you could never predict exactly how it's going to work out. But the financial strength ended up, paying off when, the turnaround started.
And it's how you get to be one of the top 5 S&P 500 names. And that's, look, if you guys were doing well, but they weren't delivering the performance, the conversation's a little different.
Sure.
But you're at the top. So
Sure.
It's empirical that you're doing it. You guys are doing something I've not seen any restaurant be able to do. You're making money on delivery. You're making money on the Chipotle. You're making money on all the things, the convenient things, that are losing money for restaurants. How is it possible that you are actually expanding gross margins, doing things that are hurting gross margins for everybody else?
It's the fact is we have a second line that we do all our digital and off-premise orders. So the fact that this front line right here doesn't get bottlenecked as a result of all those occasions, delivery, digital ordering, the Chipotle lane where you can pick it up now in your car. That all happens on a separate line. It comes from the same kitchen, gets made fresh to order, and it doesn't have to interfere with that in-store experience. And I think that is a huge advantage that we have, and that's really what we build from.
A lot of people, I think, are always trying to figure out how you can have fresh, how it can travel well, how it is healthy, it is delicious, and how it's inexpensive.
Yeah.
What are you doing to keep the prices down that made it so people don't pay too much for the finest?
Jim, we started building the supply chain that was sourced around better ingredients in the early 2000s, before it was kind of a fashionable thing to do. Okay. So we were a small company back then, and at the time, we were building a supply chain to support our growth, and we made sure that we found efficiencies along the way in everything we do with the restaurants, so we can afford these very fine ingredients. So it wasn't something we started in the last year or two. It's been in our heritage for a long, long, long time. So our economic model was built around this idea of sourcing fine food, doing all the cooking. So our crew's in here very early in the morning, well before the registers open. So we're investing in labor to make sure we can cook this delicious food. But our model was built around that when we were a very small company. We just made sure we kept that all along the way as we went from 50 stores to 100 to now over 2,500 restaurants. So that economic model, is still the engine that drives this food ethos.
Well, I think that one of the things that also helped is ownership. Second, ethos. You came from a different business model from Taco Bell. a lot of people also were skeptical that, well, wait a second, is that a cultural clash? How did you resolve the two now that you're almost in 2 years so that it was not something that people said, oh, that's heretical and it's going to hurt the culture of Chipotle?
Look, I think I just took the time to understand the Chipotle business. And when you realize what's unique and special about Chipotle, those are the things you want to spend your time on. And company ownership and owning all the restaurants, you quickly realize we've got over 80,000 employees that make our concept, our experience terrific to people. And you know, that was a big change. And that was something, though, that I think is a huge asset because, as Jack just mentioned, you know, these folks are in here every morning, prepping every morning to give people delicious food and get them down the line really quickly. So, you know, I've had opportunities to work in a lot of other businesses. And you just have to understand what makes that business special, how do you make money in that business, and then make sure you got the right culture and the right people. And I think you can figure out how to then drive that business accordingly.
People tell me in an environment where you have sub 4% employment, you can't get the right people. You can't get them at the right place. What is the difference with Chipotle versus the others where I think you are still getting the aspirational people who want to run their own store?
You know, you have to believe in people, you have to invest in people, and then you have to have a purpose. And Chipotle has a purpose with our food ethos. So the people that come to Chipotle, very often they know about the food ethos and they want to be part of it. Sometimes they interview for a job and then they understand or they learn about the ethos. It's like, wow, I want to be part of that. But then you have to invest in them. And we've invested in things like, first of all, we'll teach them how to work in a kitchen. We'll teach them how to run a business. We'll also invest in their education outside of Chipotle. And so you can get a debt-free, full education, 4-year degree at Chipotle. We invest in things like mental health and things like that. So we want to invest in the whole person because we know if we get the right people that believe in what we're doing and we invest in them, they're going to be great contributors for Chipotle for as long as they want to. Not everyone's going to have a career at Chipotle, but while they're here, we want them to feel like they're appreciated and that we're going to invest in them to make them a better whole person.
I think we feel that as customers.
I think so, yeah.
The investment extends to even the food chain, something you just announced that I think is so rigorous and so not what I call greenwash, meaning for show, with farmers.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. We announced that we're going to be supporting young farmers in a bigger way. And you know, if you want to end up with real, whole, nutritious food, animal welfare practices that are, you know, we believe the right way, you have to invest in the young farmer. And unfortunately, it's a tough business to get started in, and it's only becoming harder and harder. So I think we announced this just yesterday that going forward, we'll be doing grants for young farmers. We've always had a long-term relationship with Nyman Ranch, but it's critical because when you see the difference between, I will call it like factory farming and a true local community farm that's a part of, you know, a family for a long time, you just see the difference in the way they approach the food, the way they approach their community, and really the way they approach the planet. So we believe it's a critical thing for us to support. If we want to stand for food with integrity, then we have to support the supply chain that delivers food with integrity.
Now, when you came in, you had to believe that given not just one, but two instances of food issues, which happened to a lot of companies, so let's say it's Chipotle, did you really think it could turn that fast, that the American people would forget or the American people would love Chipotle so quickly that you get to double-digit same-store sales almost in your industry overnight?
Yeah, look, it's definitely, the results have come faster, but what I definitely believe is the brand stood for something special, right? It's, as Jack mentioned, we have a purpose around cultivating a better world, food with integrity. I believe that's how people want to eat, that's how people will eat in the future. It was a matter then of just making sure we had all the right practices and processes in place to make the experience, you know, as safe, give people the confidence, the trust that they could count on Chipotle for every experience.
And we now see the skill, one of the great skills you had at Taco Bell. You were one of the great promoters and advertisers. This new ad campaign, is it yours? And the new dishes, are they yours?
Yeah, look, we are loving the behind the foil advertising. I think it gives people a real peek behind how you end up with great food like this. And one of the things I love, I heard a comment on our most recent advertising of carne asada, where they're like,
which is how great.
Oh, it's terrific. Amazing. It's terrific. I can't get enough of it, literally. So, you know, the thing that's terrific about this is you literally see our guys putting the steak on the plancha, and it happens right in front of you, and that's what we're showing in the advertising. That's how you end up with carne asada that's so tender, so juicy, so flavorful. So, yeah, look, It's a real gift to have the opportunity to work on a company like Chipotle.
And what's for us, when we hear and want something like this, we're so afraid of lines, we're so afraid of delays, but you did really figure out throughput, right? You just figured it out better than anybody.
Yeah, look, it's been in the DNA, right, Jack?
Right.
I mean, Jack
Chipotle.
and I talked about
Who came up with Chipotle?
Well, that was well before me.
Yeah,
Jack might have the insight on that.
Genius.
It was a chef. I mean, a chef came up with that. That's why Chipotle has a strong food ethos. It wasn't a business guy. It wasn't listen, I'm a finance guy. I could never come up with food like this. It was a chef. The beauty of Chipotle, though, from the very beginning, it was customized food, exactly what you want along the line, but fast. And it's because, you got to have great people. You got to have customers that really, they need to understand the line as well. When they're in sync, the line moves faster than
lightning.
Any other fast food company.
All right, just kind of a last weird one, but right under here is what many people think is our favorite addition is avocado. It had really just stymied everyone in the restaurant business. I know, Mexican. How are you actually no longer making this to be the subject of the conference call?
Well, look, fortunately, the avocado crops are pretty robust going forward.
Right.
But there's always going to be volatility. I mean, we're dealing with, fruit and, hopefully fresh fruit, and hopefully it will stay a plentiful situation. But it is one of the things that we've got some volatility to deal with. We're working with other countries, Peru, Colombia, et cetera, to see where else we can get avocados. But we never want to compromise on the freshness and the tastiness of it.
I'm going to leave it on the never compromise, because even in the depths, you told me you would never compromise and people would come back, and that's exactly what happened. That's Brian Niccol, the CEO, and Jack Hartung, the CFO. Congratulations, gentlemen, on this remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, great seeing you.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.